Okay, so here is the video for graphing. So we're just going to look through graphing, just make sure that you have this down. So first thing, we have a graph here, polynomial. First thing we look at are our local mins and maxes. So we look for these points right here and right here, and we approximate their values. So this one right here, the top one, that's going to be a local maximum because it's a high point, and that is going to be 0, 6. And then this point right here is a local minimum. So I look at my x value, it's about about maybe 3.8 over to the right. Or sorry, not 3.8, 2.8 over, there we go. And it is about -3.5 down. Okay, next thing, it says describe the domain. The domain or x values, we're talking about going left and going right. Okay, so left to right, if you look at this part of the graph, it's going down, but it's also going to the left, and this is going up and to the right. It doesn't start or stop left and right, so my domain is going to be from -infinity to +infinity. Now next we look at the range. Range is going to be your y values. That's going to be how far up and down does your graph go. So I look at my graph, it has an arrow going down, it doesn't stop, it just keeps going down, and then it has an arrow going up, which also means that my range is going to be from -infinity to +infinity. Next thing we look at is intervals of increase and decrease. So what you need to do is, for this, is you actually need to just kind of put a mark at your mins and maxes. So my graph here, we're going to look at increasing and decreasing. So when I'm looking at this, first thing I do is I mark the x value of this part right here, of that max. And so my x value of that max is 0, and then my x value of this minimum here is about 2.8. And then on the left, I'm going to put -infinity. On the right, I'm going to put +infinity. So I know that my graph is going up. It's positive. It's going up from -infinity to 0. So for intervals of increasing, from -infinity to 0, it's increasing. And then from 0 to 2.8, my graph is headed down. It's negative. It's decreasing. Okay, my y values are decreasing, so I'm going to put that in here. So it's going to be from 0 to 2.8, and then from 2.8 on, my graph is going up again. It is increasing. So I'm going to put another interval from 2.8, so 2.8 to infinity, it is increasing. Next thing we look at, next thing we look at is going to be I'm going to erase some of this stuff here. Okay, as we look at things like, so what we're going to look at is end behavior. So when I say when x is going to -infinity, I'm just talking about this end. Okay, when we talk about -infinity, that's going to be, we think about this in terms of left and right. So on the left-hand side, what is happening to my y value? Is it going up or going down? It's going down, so we're going to write to -infinity. On my right-hand side of my graph, it's going up. My graph is going up, and so we're going to go to +infinity. X-intercepts are where it crosses the x-axis, there, and there. We'll kind of approximate those points. So that one looks like it's about maybe -1.1. My next point is about 1.5, and my third point is about 3.5 or thereabouts. My y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis, which it looks like it crosses the y-axis at 6. And that's essentially graphing. Now we go to this next one where we have to graph from Desmos. So it's x to the 4th minus 2x squared minus 1. So we have x to the 4th minus 2x squared. What's that other value? Okay, minus 1. Okay, and so first thing I do, if you can't see it already, is I just look at my points. And so when I touch my graph, it actually tells me all of my major points. And so all the points that are highlighted here are my my x-intercepts right there and there. My y-intercept is there. And then here are my local mins. My y-intercept is also my local max. So I'll start with my local mins, -1, -2, and 1, -2. So I'll put that in here. So -1, -1, -2, and 1, -2. My local max was this point right here, which was 0, -1. Okay, so that was 0, -1. That 0, -1 was also the y-intercept of my graph. I'm going to actually look at, when I look at domain and range, I'll wait till I actually graph it. I need one more thing to graph. I need my x-intercepts. My x-intercepts are at -1.6 and +1.6. So my x-intercepts are at -1.6 and +1.6. So we'll go through and graph all of these points. So this is 0, -1, there's my local max, -1, -2, +1, -2. My x-intercept is -1.6 and +1.6. And so once I have all of those points down, I just connect them roughly. There we go. And I have my arrows. Okay, now I start looking at things like domain, okay, which is my domain is going to be to the left and to the right. I look at this doesn't start and stop. It keeps going. It keeps going to the left, and it keeps going, or to the right and to the left. These arrows, they keep going to the right and to the left. It doesn't start or stop. So my domain is going to be from -infinity to +infinity. My range, on the other hand, is going to be a little different. If you look at your graph, my y values actually start right here and they go up, okay? So my lowest y value is at -2, and then it keeps going up. And so I write that in range. It's going to be from -2 to infinity. Intervals of increase. So that's the same thing. We look at our, actually I'm going to pick a screen color. Okay, so what I do is I kind of draw a line through my local maxes and my local mins, and I write the x values of all those local maxes and mins. So for this guy right here, I have, actually I need to sparkly. So this is -1, so that's sparkly. This x value was 0, and this x value was +1. And then on the left-hand side, I put -infinity. The right-hand side, I put +infinity. And that right there actually tells me all of the intervals. So I'm going to have, it's going to be increasing or decreasing from -infinity to 1, or -1, -1 to 0, 0 to 1, and from 1 to +infinity. So now I just have to figure it out. So from -infinity to 1, my graph is going down. My y values are decreasing. So that's going to be decreasing. So the first thing I'm going to do is go from -infinity to -1. It's decreasing. Then in this area here, my graph starts to increase. So from -1, not -infinity, excuse me. From -1 to positive, or I keep doing this, from -1 to, so from -1 to 0, it's increasing. Okay, then from 0 to 1, it's decreasing again. So I write that from 0 to 1. Let's see if I can get it right the first time. And then from 1 to infinity, it's increasing again. So from 1 to infinity. Okay, one of the biggest things for increase and decrease, of course, is to use x values. Always use the x values. It says use x values. Okay, and then we just look at end behavior as x goes to negative infinity. So that's going to be to the left. What's happening to my y? It's going up, which is going to be up is positive infinity. And then as this goes to the right, this is going to be down. This is going to be negative infinity. And so you're all set there. Okay, last part of graphing is going to be just looking at your functions. If you remember from class, we know even functions, so just little notes. You can always do it a brain dump. Okay, so even functions, does not like being drawn there. Okay, so looking at this here, my even functions are going to be like a parabola. A parabola is going to be an even function because that's x squared. So a lot of them either going to have 2 arrows going up, or they're going to have 2 arrows going down. And then when you talk about odd functions, so when the degree is odd, they're going to look like that. They're going to look like your cubic function. Oh, I can't even draw that. So for this one right here, I'm noticing that both of the arrows are going up. So up is going to be, my degree is going to be even. I don't know why this is erasing. What did I do? Okay. So my degree is going to be even. Okay. Because it's up, and my coefficient is going to be, well, they're both going up, so this is going to be positive. This next one, I have one part going up and one part going down, so that means that my degree has to be odd. It's not for asking for the specific degree. And then the other thing you look at is your coefficient. We talked about this before. When you have your cubic functions, they look like this. This goes down then up. That's if it is a positive coefficient, but this one goes up then down, so that's going to be a negative coefficient. And this last one right here, we have down, down, so we know that's going to be even, but instead of my coefficient being positive, this is going to be negative. Okay, and that's about it for